Hey everyone, welcome back to our series, How to Sell Your Lesson Plans and Other Teaching Materials Using ClickFunnels. This is part 3, so if you haven't already, check out the other videos in the series. Today we are going to go over how to actually design the steps of your sales funnel so that it can look as beautiful as possible to really entice and pull in those customers. Hey, welcome back to Sell Your Lessons, the place to learn how to sell your lesson plans on your terms. I'm Jessie, your digital marketing and tech coach, and today we are going to go over part 3 in our series of how to sell your lesson plans and other teaching materials using ClickFunnels. And today we're going to tackle design. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Hey everyone, so I went ahead and did last week's homework, which was to start inputting all of the information about my offer. Now, I obviously came up with a mock offer. This is not something that I'm actually selling. So the mock-ups are just examples, and I just went ahead and did some basic copy, just kind of throwing words in there. I didn't worry about any of the design or the formatting. I simply just threw the information about the product right in there. And if you notice here in the template, there were only 3 here, and so I clicked the little clone button to duplicate this row so that I could have 6 boxes here. I added some icons to go along with each part and the bonuses as well, where I added some icons, and then the final mock-up image along with the price. So beyond this, I didn't really change anything. I will still show you guys today how to design, but I just wanted to get some sort of information in there so that you could see what to do when the copy, which is the words on the page, is changed and it needs a little formatting help, right? Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is, we'll remind you that if you're struggling with things like the mock-ups, that there is another video here on the channel to show you how to create these, so go watch that. And your homework should have been to put everything in. So hopefully you've already done all of that. One place I like to start, if this is your first page and you don't have anything like branding or color schemes or anything like that, I love to go to Design Seeds. Right? It's design-seeds.com, and I searched all of these different images and color palettes until I found one that kind of spoke to me. And the nice thing about Design Seeds is they give you the color codes right here. These numbers are the color codes, and we're going to use these in designing our page. So that's one resource I really love. Another resource I love is Transparent Textures, which gives us all of these textures. Now, I usually just change this to white, which is FFFFFF. And then I can kind of see what these textures are. And I can just kind of go through and search. And we'll come back to this in a little bit, but this is another fabulous resource that I love to use as I'm designing, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to our page. And the first thing I'm going to do is anywhere that there is this dark purple, I want to change that. I am going to change it to this dark green. So that is this code right here. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go into each element, and where there's the purple, I'm going to change it to the green. Just kind of do that. This kind of looks like the purple. Yep. So I'm kind of getting this new color in there. Now, of course, you don't have to stick to, the exact colors, like what I had purple, I'm going to change to green. You don't have to do that at all. You can certainly adjust these to any colors you want, but if we're talking about ease and for the sake of going quickly, then that's an easy thing to do. Now, if you notice here, I don't want to change the background for this entire row. I just want this column. Up here at the top, there are columns, and I can kind of go down and hover until I hit this column number 2, and I will click, and now I am changing the color for just that column. All right, so that's a lot. This might be the purple, yeah. So again, you don't have to stick to the purple if you wanted to choose, another color. Like this one's kind of dark as well, so I could use this one more like an accent color and say, all right, I want this color here. The next color here is this kind of teal color. So what do I want? I kind of look and say, which one kind of pops out at you most? Maybe this lighter one. And you can test it, right? So you can test it and see if you resonate with the color, and if not, you can change it, right? Like I think, oh, it's pretty light, so I probably wouldn't want white. I'd want a darker color on the button. And yeah, it's okay. I almost feel like I like this color more. It stands out to me. Okay, so you can kind of go through, and this one's kind of important too. On the dark background, it may or may not work. I think it does work pretty much either way, so I could leave that. And I'm just doing a quick run through of the basic colors. All right, so the original purple and teal colors are now gone, and I've got my green and this kind of orangish color. Okay, excellent, excellent. All right, so that's just kind of colors. Again, I can add a little bit of personality wherever I want. So for example, if I didn't want this headline to be white and I wanted it to be that lighter color, or maybe just the names of the people I want to be that color, I could go ahead and change their names so they stand out a little bit more. The thing about design is, you know, I could literally play with this stuff all day long and never get bored because I just love it. I am a complete geek when it comes to this kind of stuff. And for example, if you feel like this green is just too dark and it almost looks black, I wanted to lighten it up a little bit, then maybe I would take the code for a different green and change it and see if I liked that better. I'm not sure I do like that better, but maybe you do. You know, it's totally up to you. You just kind of play with it. Design is all about trial and error and just figuring out what you resonate with more, right? So I'm going to leave those darker. Okay, so that was kind of the colors. Next, take a look at the texture. Like I said, on the transparent textures, you have all these options. If you click, you can kind of see a bigger example of what it might look like with a white background. If you wanted to test one of your colors, for example, like if I wanted to test this lighter peachy color, throw that in there and hit enter, and now I can see what the textures look like with that color as the background. Or for example, so we have a gray color here, and maybe I'll leave gray if I don't want to switch things up too much, but you can always change. Oh, I think I just left it white, honestly. It was just the bare texture. But here you can see that there is a texture. And if I go back into the settings, I have the background color, but the background image is our texture. So let me grab that green color and let's test what that might look like. And I might say, oh, that kind of, you know, looks cool, or I don't like that, or however you feel about any of these textures. You find one that kind of speaks to you. Let's see. I'm trying to glance in here and see what might work. I mean, obviously any of these would work. Let's say I just wanted this basic brick wall. I would click download. Dark brick wall downloaded. And I'm going to go back into my image. Remember, I'm in the settings for this blue row. And I'm going to click upload. And in my downloads, I'm going to get the dark brick wall. Now these image files are super duper tiny, just tiny little squares. So I'm going to add the image. So make sure you have it on repeat, because if I just had it full, it's very blurry. or no repeat, it would just be one time, but I want it to repeat so it covers the whole area. And then I would change this as well to be the same thing. Okay, so now I've kind of got my brick pattern going on. Same thing here, this was the other pattern. So if I'm going with the brick, I'd want to change it too. Now, whew, that doesn't quite look great as the other one did. So maybe I just want to change the color, right? So right now it's white, but maybe I want it to be even the darker color again, or one of the other colors in our palette. Maybe I'll go with that, and then you can change these to be white. So again, as you are watching me work, it's really just changing things and checking them out and seeing if you think they look okay. Probably want to change those to my green. And the other thing that I always forget is save often. You don't want something crazy to happen and you lose everything, right? So go ahead and save often. And maybe you wanted these icons. So what I did is, instead of the images, I clicked to add a new element and I scrolled down until I found icon. And then in the settings of the icon, you can change the color, you can change the size. I think I did like 120 down here. So it went a lot bigger. And in the advanced is where I can search what I wanted. So if I wanted a question mark, I found that here. And then here, again, you can change the color. So maybe I wanted it to be, you know, the green instead. Or maybe to match this, I want these out here to be this color. So it's however you want. I'm not sure I like that very much, but I'm just trying to go quickly, since this is, you know, purely an example. Okay, so far so good. Oh, I see this a border around here is the purple, so that's another place I want to change it to our green. Make it on brand, and if I wanted to, I again could change that to a completely different color. Okay. Here's another place where it was the previous image, so maybe I want it to be the brick. I'm not sure I like the brick as a plain background very much, so I might choose a different, it's just gonna undo. I might choose a different one or leave the one that was there. So I don't really particularly like it here either, but it works with the dark green. All right, so there's that. Now let's focus a little bit on the actual text, right? Like this little guy right here, we don't like these one words dangling out there by themselves. So either I want to make the font larger, so more words are together, or in this case, most likely smaller, so that it all fits on two lines here. And then, you know, same thing here, you can kind of adjust to see what looks great from a headline standpoint, how it just kind of is appealing to the eye. But then something like this, I don't like just those few words there. So I'll either hit a hard return, maybe more here, or I'll adjust the font size, because the thing about hitting a hard return is then when people are viewing it on mobile, it might look a little wonky. Okay, and because I made that one bigger, I think I'm going to make this a little larger. Here we go. All right, to spice up your text, you have things like bold, italics, and underlines, right? So, for example, this whole thing is bold. I don't have to bold it. I could not bold it and then just bold certain parts. Finally gain control once and for all. In as little as 7 minutes a day. The thing about ClickFunnels is the bold color can actually be different. So if I just wanted the bold color to stand out in a little different way, then I could do that. And again, you can underline things too. Once for all. So here, to make the name of my pretend lesson plan that I'm selling stand out, I can bold it, and I can even make it another color so that it kind of stands out. And hopefully your mock image is going to match the branding on your page. So obviously this is different branding than the colors that I'm working with now, so it doesn't look very good. But here maybe I say, we already made it our green. Okay, that's good. But right here, for example, this is just one big block of text. So to spice it up, I would, start to bold and underline things that I want to emphasize. So even experienced teachers can attribute their smooth transition class to the work. When implemented correctly here, any teacher at any level. And again, the name of the product, we should bring emphasis to that. And takes away anxiety. Okay, I'm going to say this little in parentheses, italics, and both teachers and students. Maybe even underline. Same thing here. I notice how I put these in all caps. Exactly what, how, and standards driven, so that it brings emphasis to the part for someone who's skimming what they're going to see. So now when they skim, they're like, okay, experienced teachers, it's bell work, any teacher, any level, it's body parts, bell work. Exactly what, how, and standard. Oh, that's great. So that's the name of the product again, so I'm going to bold it. So I could probably should have written a little more here, but that's what I've got. Now, next part on this section, I'm like, you know what? The text ends way before the image. So I have a couple options here. I can move this. Oh, it's not letting me. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to let me move it for a minute, so I'm going to go out and come back in. Sometimes you just have to roll with the glitches. Okay, there we go. So I could move it so it makes it smaller automatically. Or if I didn't want this section to be so big, I could also take the entire section, and the width is 100%. I could make the width smaller so it brings it all in. Now it's more the same length. Or I could even change the width of the image to make it smaller to kind of match the rest. I think my favorite out of all of those that I just did was making this whole section just a little smaller to bring it in together. And now that needs to be a little bigger. Okay. Again, save often. You don't want to lose anything. All right. So on here, I kind of already showed you guys how to do the icons, and then also just kind of like changing the size, making sure they're the same. Now, one thing I see here is, okay, this one is just a little bit longer, and it kind of pushed everything off. It sort of works because the end of the words is now at a similar place, but look at this, for example. This one's much longer and this one's much shorter. And I don't like that one of these goes on 2 lines, whereas all the rest are on 1 line. So I will make this maybe 19, and now it fits on 1 line. but now it's different. If you know, people may not notice that it's just slightly different. So you could just leave it like that, or you could go ahead and change all the rest to match, just to make sure that all of these headlines are the same size. And then, so now it's kind of clear that this one's longer and this one's shorter. So what I might do is just swap these. And I just click and drag. And bring the absent student work down, vocabulary guide up, description down, and description up. And if you notice, this is the older kind of teal blue. So I'm definitely going to want to change that to the color that matches my new branding for this page. All right, much better. And again, if you don't like the white and you want to, change these, you can do that as well. Maybe just change every other one. However you want to start designing. But the thing is you don't have to overdo it. I don't think I like that very much at all. So I would either make them all colored or all white. So anyway, just different examples. Okay, the bonus section, like I said, I don't really like the brick, so I would probably change the brick color back to something a little more appealing. And either leave that color or change it back to a gray, or just however, again, it's all up to you. But then if I changed it light, I'd have to change the text color again back to a darker tone. Okay. All right, and if you notice on the example, there were only 2 columns, so I had to make 3 columns, and then I just went ahead and was able to put everything across equally. And on the example, there was, each one of these had a value, but I didn't necessarily want to get nitty gritty right here and show, $3, $2, $1, whatever the individual prices were. And just so you know, when you're valuing something, it needs to be real. You need to go find examples of other people selling something similar and see how much they're charging, right? So when I did that, I just kind of quickly went through. And if you're doing this for real, make sure that you're saving that evidence just so that you always have that proof that, no, this is what the real value is, right? So I went through and I found enough evidence to kind of total this value at $17. But I would never sell this whole package for $17. I'm going to sell it at an irresistible offer price, and I personally settled on $5. So again, this is a completely made up product, but this is kind of the process you would go through as you are creating a product, right? So you've listed everything out, you say the total value, and then you give them today's price, and always give them lots of options to scroll back up to purchase. So here, what are other people saying? You have to decide what is acceptable and non-acceptable use for your own product, and kind of just finish out the page. One last thing I want to show you here is this. If I click into the product and show step 2, we'll see this order bump, right? So for this order bump, I decided to do sub lesson plans, and so I put the information about it here. But if you notice these colors, there's no place to change the colors. This is actually some custom coding, and before you get scared of that, it's all right up here in the settings, custom CSS, and everything is titled here for you. It's labeled. right? So before you get all scared, we are just looking for these same hex code color codes that we were looking at before. So the FFF is white. So I'm going to leave the bump background white, but the border right here is colored. And so I'm going to pick the border. Maybe I want the border to be this color here. So I'm going to paste that in here. And then the background, the title background, I'm going to choose our darker green color for that. And then this says white for the font of the headline font. So now that I've done that, let me go back in and take a look. Yes, so now I have my colors for the border and then the headline background. So that's just kind of a quick way to swap some of that stuff. But again, the code is in there if you wanted to change like this background color instead of it being white, and then also this text color is in there too if you wanted to adjust that. But oftentimes simplicity wins. You don't want to confuse your buyers. You just want them to get the most important information, right? So clicking this, well, this is an example. It doesn't do anything right now just because we haven't added any of the products. We're going to do all the tech stuff in a later week. But yeah, so now when we take a look at the page, we've got all of this information here. We've got things, you know, looking great. I'd probably try to add a little bit of color in this section. It's looking a little flat. And I know this is technically the green, but you can't really tell because it looks like black. So I kind of like the colored ones there. All right. Kind of just pulling in the colors. So it's really nice to see how we used the same basic template, even if you're not a designer and you're able to just kind of come in and use the template and swap it out and really make it your own with design. So I'm not going to show you guys how to do that to the one-time offer, the OTO page, or the order confirmation. But one thing I do want to point out real quick is if there's a section that you really love, like you really loved this green background and you love the way that it's 3 columns and all of that, you can click this save button and save either the rows or the big sections. And so this is, you know, label it green row. I'm just going to call it green row for now. And then when you go into another page and you hit the plus, they're now there in your rows. So I can pull in that green row, and there it is right there. Now obviously it'd be easy to just click the clone button when I'm on this page, but I'm talking about on another page. Let's say I wanted to pull this into my OTO page. That's how I would do it super quickly. And always, always, always save. Okay, I hope that really helped you out. And as always, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them down in the comments below. I will happily answer any and all of your ClickFunnels questions. And there you go, designing your pages so that they pop and really pull in your potential customers and turn them into lifelong fans. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more videos in this series. We're going to put the next one out next Tuesday. Don't miss that. And if you haven't already, go ahead and check out some of the other videos on the channel while you wait, and I will see you next week. Bye.